Morley Robbins, known as the Magnesium Man, is the creator of the root cause protocol and a leading expert on magnesium's crucial role in our health, highlighting its interaction with minerals like iron and copper. With a BA in biology and an MBA in healthcare administration, Morley transitioned from a 32-year career in hospital administration to natural healing after a personal health crisis led him to discover the transformative power of magnesium and chiropractic care. The experience propelled him to delve into natural healing, leading to the foundation of the Magnesium Advocacy Group, which boasts 250,000 members. Morley, having conducted over 7,500 consultations worldwide, is dedicated to educating people on overcoming fatigue and chronic diseases by addressing mineral imbalances, particularly through the root cause protocol. His work emphasizes the importance of copper, magnesium, and iron in preventing inflammation and cellular metabolic dysfunction, aiming to shift the paradigm of nutritional health and wellness. And before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth, and the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Jane, a graduate, who says, and I quote, "The Deep Wealth Mastery Program prevented me from making what would have been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. I almost signed on the dotted line with an unsolicited offer that I now realize would have shortchanged my hard work and my future had I accepted that offer. Deep Wealth Mastery has tilted the playing field to my advantage." Or how about Lynn? Wow, he gets right to the point, and I quote, "Deep Wealth Mastery is one of the best investments ever made because you'll get an ROI of 100 times that. Anyone who doesn't go through this will lose millions." And as you're listening to these testimonials, are you wondering if you have the time? Are you even thinking that you've got this covered? You have the advisors or people in your network? Well, I got to tell you, these myths, they're often behind the 90% failure rate for liquidity events. Think about it. You have one chance to get it right for your financial freedom. You really want to make it count. And when it comes to time, let's hear what William has to say. We just got in this testimonial. William says, and I quote, "I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've experienced." So what do you think? As I hear that, that's exactly what gets me out of bed every day. That's my mission. That's the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And my Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it isn't theory. It's from the trenches. It's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created a system that later on, myself and my business partners, we said yes to a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. That's what we now call the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or the Scale for Ultimate Sales system. It's built by business owners for business owners. So if you're interested in growing your profits, for preparing for a future liquidity event, and that may be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away, whatever the time may be, you want to do this now, and you want to optimize your post-exit life. Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. To get started, email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. You'll receive all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll go through exactly where your business is today and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you. They're looking to grow their businesses, create market disruptions, and unlock their financial freedom to get what they deserve. And whether you've been in business for 3 years, 40 years, you're a startup, you're manufacturing, you're in high tech, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners. It's a safe space. It's a confidential space with business owners, with businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. So again, the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Welcome to Deep Wealth Podcast. Well, Morley is no stranger to the Deep Wealth community. Morley, welcome back. And for those that don't know Morley, he is an incredible individual. He is paying it forward. He is making a difference out there. He's a researcher, and he's helping us do collectively here in the Deep Wealth community one of our promises to you of helping you to extract not only your business deep wealth, but also your personal deep wealth. So Morley, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. And just before we get going, I'm going to ask some questions for some of our new listeners in the community, because again, we're so fortunate. We're growing by leaps and bounds. I want to give you a congratulations. And you may be saying, Jeffrey, what's a congratulations for? We've just begun. But offline, I'm sharing with you, I'll share it online. You are the most interviewed guest on this podcast. This is your fourth time back. We value so much what you're doing. You're taking the complex and making it very easy for us to understand, and some powerful takeaways. So welcome, my friend. Welcome back to the Deep Wealth Podcast.
Honored to be here. Delighted. I have a colleague over in England who's a nutritionist, and has a very successful podcast. And I've been on the show several times. And I don't aspire to do this, but he usually gets a few hundred downloads. Our conversations, his board just blows up. It's like, okay, I love it. And I appreciate the chance to have this conversation. What I love about this is being able to come in with a very different message, a very important message for people who are kind of thinking about this, and suddenly we're going to shift them over here and get them excited about what to do to build their health. I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, you may be saying, hey, Jeffrey, what the heck is going on? This is Morley's fourth time. What more could he possibly say? But for Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know is this. I was on a phone call with Morley, something completely unrelated. And Morley shared with me, Jeffrey, I don't think I've shared this with you. I found this study, I think it was from 1984, and he went into all this science talk. He kind of lost me, but then he brought it back in of, here's why it's important. I said, oh my goodness, this is something that we really need to get out there, because offline, Morley, and again, I'm bringing this online, health has now become in vogue. Everyone is talking about this. You have all these fancy titles and you have all these services. Most of them are expensive. No one is really doing what you're doing, because with your root cause protocol, you've made it really very simple, not going to confuse simple with simplicity. You made it very simple. Stop doing these things. Start doing these things. And these things that we're starting and stopping, we are not going to hear in the mainstream. And not pointing any fingers at the medical profession or the doctors. They're doing their best with what they've been given, the material that they have or what they've learned. But this is from science-backed, peer-reviewed data, studies that just isn't getting the light of day, because most of this is free. And if you're a pharmaceutical company, you can't make money off of free. It has to be patented. You have to be able to really spend $1 gazillion and make a billion gazillion dollars on that. So we're not hearing this anywhere else. But let me put a pause on that, Morley, for the benefit of our new listeners in Deep Wealth Nation. Who are you? What's the story behind the story? How did you get from where you were to where you are right here now and today?
From a pre-med retreat, I had designs of being a doctor when I was younger, because I grew up in a very sickly family. My sister being a nurse, I was supposed to be a doctor. Well, I got to school and then I realized how hard it was. But I went into hospital management, being executive. Can't be a doctor. You boss them around. I was pretty good at it. Did that for 12 years. And then became a consultant, solving problems, growing hospitals. I was pretty good at it. Traveled all over the U.S., been in every state except for Alaska.
Wow.
And I had a very memorable trip to Toronto, where I forgot my passport. Don't ever do that. You probably knew not to do that. I didn't know. But I was like, we're all one, right? No,
not quite.
Not quite. So I pulled a suitcase behind my back for 20 years, developed frozen shoulder, couldn't pick my hand up above my waist, and by a quirk of fate, got introduced to a chiropractor who's now my wife, and she introduced me to natural healing. And I'd never heard of a phrase that she used in our very first meeting. She was talking about the innate healer, the healer within. I'd never heard that phrase in 32 years of working in hospitals. I was absolutely captivated, but it was almost like it was a code, like it was a secret message. And when I heard that phrase, I said, find out what that is. Who is that innate healer? And I started researching 15 years ago, 2 to 3 hours a day. Now it's definitely 3 hours a day. But in the beginning, it was a couple hours. I've read at least 10,000 articles, maybe more.
Wow.
And have put together a lot of puzzle pieces. As you say, what I'm trying to do is really simplify the model.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize that when push comes to shove, all of the problems we have in our body come from a dysregulation of copper and iron and oxygen. And it's absolutely amazing. We live on a planet with oxygen, 20%, 21%. What's not our friend, it's actually a poison. And it needs to be turned into water so we can release energy. It's an obligate step in making energy is to turn oxygen into water. And there's only one element on the planet to do that, and it's copper. And copper also has a propensity to keep iron in check, keep it from wanting to interact with the oxygen. What happens when iron interacts with oxygen? It creates rust. We know what a rusted nail looks like. Let's take tape, let's see bar. We know, we recognize, we didn't know that the rusting process was happening within. And when there isn't enough copper in our diet because of changes in farming and food processing, then we lose the natural innate healer to regulate iron and oxygen. And it's been fascinating to learn the layers and layers and layers of interaction that take place. And it's been an absolute delight to bring this knowledge to the forefront.
So it's interesting because really you have this very elaborate system on the one hand, but yet on the other hand, when you boil it down to the essence, as you've just done, what I'm hearing you say, and you can say, Jeffrey, no, it's not quite that way, or yes, it is. Copper is an enabler. Most people are short in copper, especially today. We've talked about this on the previous episodes, which, by the way, Deep Wealth Nation, all in the show notes. The links are there for all 3 of those episodes. Without the copper, we could be right in every other area, but without that copper, we're not doing certain things. We can't do certain things. The body isn't really unlocked to work its magic of what it does on the healing side, on the vibrancy side. Then at the same time, there's a tension where if there's too much iron, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, iron can really stop everything. Literally, as you've spoken before, we're rusting from the inside out.
Exactly.
And so my understanding, Morley, and again, correct me if I'm on base or off base, even if we have enough copper, even if we're doing all the right things, if inside of us we have an iron buildup going through our blood, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. We're literally rusting from the inside out. And over time, maybe we don't see it today or tomorrow, but over time, that's when things stop working. That's where the problems begin to come on board. We age quicker. We die quicker. It's not where we want to be. I'm going to put a pause on it right there. I hope I didn't oversimplify it too much.
No,
how am I doing with that?
No, you've captured the essence of it. And I think it's important for people to realize that think of trying to do wealth management, which I know you're good at, but think of trying to do that without compound interest. You got to take that off the table. You can't have compound interest, or you can't have present value. Think of the simple concept of interest and how it changes financial management.
Yeah, it's a game changer. 8th wonder of the world, according to Warren Buffett, compound interest.
Right? Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to build a strong economy, ideally you want to build it around gold. There's got to be something, some asset to protect the wealth of that nation. If you want a strong computer, you better have a lot of silver in your motherboard. So electrons aren't going to flow. And if you want to have a really successful metabolism in your body, you better have copper. And those 3 precious metals are what run the world. They're amazing when you stop to think about it. And think about taking gold out of the economy, bad things happen. Think about taking out silver out of the motherboard, bad things happen. And what I'm really focusing on is taking copper out of the body, and bad things happen. And so your point about doesn't matter how much iron you've got, if you have too much, doesn't matter how much copper you've got, if you have too much iron. It's a very important nuance. People need to hear that the accumulation of iron over the course of our lifetime is what causes our aging. Not my idea. That's one of the leading longevity experts focusing on is iron accumulation. The associated oxidative stress. What is that? It's a more complicated way of saying rust. And it's just If the oxygen isn't being turned into water, very simple, compound interest, you're not turning oxygen in. So if O2 doesn't become 2H2O, we can't release energy. When we can't release energy, we have a world of hurt. And if there's too much iron, it blocks the ability to turn oxygen into water. And that's when we really start to see an acceleration of aging inside our body. And it may not just be the obvious signs of aging, skin and hair and what have you, but it's going to be inside. That the tissue loses its integrity. It doesn't vibrate the way it's supposed to. It doesn't have the right color. It doesn't have the right energy production. It doesn't have the right signaling. We've never thought about our bodily tissue having those characteristics. That's what really enables the body to be healthy, of integrity. Absolutely an essential component of the, and what is the secret agent of integrity? Copper. Every one of the characteristics that I've identified, there's 5, of having tissue integrity is dependent upon copper. It's a wow factor in that.
And so, Morley, as you're talking about this, and by the way, one of your nicknames, you have many nicknames, all good ones, by the way. One of them is Magnesium Man.
Right.
And again, I'm going to make the basic tenet here, and you can say, Jeffrey, on base or off base. Even if you have the right levels of magnesium, copper, too much iron is getting in the way. And so for the listeners, can you imagine you've spent the time, the effort, the proverbial blood, sweat, and tears, you've built up your business. Nudge, wink, wink. You've gone through the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery System, our program. You're growing your profits. Enterprise value is off the charts. You're now having your business exit, your liquidity event. You get there, and heaven forbid, you lose your health. What's it all about? It doesn't mean anything. All those zeros in the bank, you'll trade in for your health. And so one of the things here on the podcast, this is why we bring in the medical experts like Morley to give us insights of how do we extract our deep wealth. And so, Morley, let's make it really simple now for Deep Wealth Nation. So they've heard you say too much iron's not good, that just living, I can be doing all the right things, but just pure living, I have a natural buildup of iron inside my body, in the blood. And over time, when there's too much iron, I'm resting from the inside out. And so Deep Wealth Nation, they might be thinking, well, what does this mean? Do I have to have some kind of complicated or expensive procedure? How do I get this iron out? What does that mean? What should I be doing? And it's actually a very simple action that you can take. It's actually a good deed when you're doing it as well. So let's let the cat out of the bag, Morley. So if you're a man, if you're a postmenopausal woman, what are we talking about here? How do we keep our iron levels in check?
The easiest way to do it is blood donation. Do it quarterly. You can do it more aggressively. You can do it every other month if you want. But most people are very successful by quarterly donations. Even women who are menstruating would benefit from probably 2 blood donations in addition to their monthly menstruation. People don't realize how prevalent iron is in our diet. There was a wonderful iron toxicologist. His name was Jim Moon. His pen name was JYM. His real name was JIM, but he was from Canada. I was thinking he was from the Toronto area. And he wrote a wonderful book called Iron, the Most Toxic Metal. I have read that book 4 times. One of the most important books I've ever read, because he pulls the curtain all the way back on what's happening in our food system, how prevalent iron fortification programs are, how prevalent iron is in supplements, and the level of confusion about the need for iron is legendary. And where the confusion really arises is that iron doesn't always show up on a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
We have low iron in the blood is masking the fact that high iron might be hiding in the tissue because the blood test is not revealing the tissue level of iron. And I don't think this is taught in doctor school. I don't think they know there's a difference between blood level, tissue level. And it's very important for people to realize that the only way to get rid of excess iron in the human body is through blood loss. And there's no enzymatic pathway. There's no hormonal pathway. Oh, I got too much iron. Figure this hormone doesn't work that way. Gravity is the only thing that gets rid of excess.
Wow.
And that's a really important distinction. Only element like that.
And so what's interesting, Morley, after we had our phone call, you gave me a very polite nudge. Hey, Jeffrey, by the way, have you had your blood donation yet? And I said, Morley, you keep on talking about it. No, I haven't. I was hemming and hawing and all these excuses. But you know what? Shortly after we spoke, I went on and signed up and I gave my blood. Got to tell you, they were just so thrilled when I showed up at the blood donation center because it's really helping people in need, where you're showing up, we're donating our blood. They took 16 ounces, 500 mils, give or take of that. It took 4 or 5 minutes for me. It can take 15 minutes, 5 minutes, somewhere in between, depending on the person. And what I learned was, in very short order, the body quickly replenishes the blood that's lost, but it's without the iron. And I got to tell you, maybe it's a placebo effect, maybe not. I don't know. You can tell me. Just knowing that I did that and I was getting excess iron out of my system had me feel so much better. Here's a little tidbit for you. In researching this, back in the day, we look back in history and we say, oh, they're so primitive. We're talking back in the 1800s. They really weren't that primitive. I didn't know this. When you pass by a traditional barbershop, you know how you have that pole and you have that, it goes around and it's white, blue, and red. Well, the red, it's there. Back in the day, it was there because it was a barber who would also let out some of your blood while you're there.
Absolutely.
So you got your haircut, maybe you got a shave, they're letting out your blood, you're getting your iron out of it. So we've been doing this. We've stopped doing that, but we've been doing this for quite some time. So Morley, for our listeners, and again, what I'm hearing is say, it really is for everyone, whether you're premenopausal, as a woman, postmenopausal, or as a man, donate your blood. If you're male, if you're postmenopause, do it every quarter. If you're still having your regular cycle as a woman, do it twice a year. Walk us through. So when I donated my blood, what's going on afterwards?
Well, let's start with an important fact. And this is sort of a mind-blowing number. 84% of human tissue is red blood cells.
Okay.
It's a big number. And they say that there's 100 trillion cells in our body, but I think they're including epithelial cells running our gut and other parts of our anatomy. 84% of human tissue is red blood cells. And it's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
And the body needs to get oxygen. And here's the waiter, those red blood cells. There's bazillions of red blood cells. But every second of every day, we need to replace 2.5 million red blood cells every second of every day, 24/7. There's 1 billion atoms of iron inside each red blood cell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big number. And on the outside of the red blood cell are receptors.
Mm-hmm.
Transferrin receptors that are transporting iron. And there are these ceruloplasmin receptors, which I was sharing this a few days ago. In fact, they discovered this in 1994. Mm-hmm. People don't understand how important that red blood cell is in terms of our vitality. There's a lot of oxygen we'll carry in each red blood cell. But what has to happen is a red blood cell comes to an organ is going to pull it in and grab the oxygen. It's going to get iron with it. And that iron needs to be recycled. That's what is so critical. We've been trained to believe that we need dietary replacement of iron. Every day, I got to get my dietary replacement because I lost it all, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. 95% of our daily iron requirement comes from a dynamic recycling system that's run by. That's the part that most people don't know about, especially most practitioners. And so when you donate blood, what's happening is you're going to lose 500 milligrams or 500 cc's of blood. Mm-hmm. It's about 250 milligrams of iron. Mm-hmm. The body's got to make up for that. And it releases a very important hormone called erythropoietin, called EPO. Any athlete knows what EPO is. EPO is going to make more red blood cells to carry more oxygen, have more energy, have more bling in the wintertime. And so that's what doping is all about in sports, EPO, and trying to build red blood cells faster. And what does EPO do? Two signals. One, telling the bone marrow, you better start making red blood cells. We're going to need, we just lost a whole bunch of red blood cells. But the second signal is telling the organs and the tissue around the body that have been holding on to this iron, got to let it go. We need it down in the bone marrow so we can make new red blood cells. And it's a very powerful dynamic that has been studied for over a century. But I don't think the average practitioner understands the subtlety of how important it is. The whole idea of rejuvenating that 84% of our tissue, keeping it fresh, keeping it really vibrant and vital, I think is critical to our health and well-being. And overwhelming meme that most people have is anemic. You need more iron. You need a better recycling system, and that requires copper. That's where the breakdown is. And it's the EPO signal, that hormonal signal, is coming out of the adrenal glands. So the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, means on top of the renal glands, the kidneys. And guess what you got to have in order to activate EPO? You have to have a copper enzyme to make it happen. And so copper is all over iron metabolism, iron recycling, iron production. But people don't have that awareness. And that's really what the root cause protocol is designed to do, is simplify the understanding of how the body works, simplify the process of removing nutritional agents that are going to disrupt the efficiency of it, and then promote others that are really going to stimulate the efficiency. And that's really what we've done over the last probably 10, 12 years.
Interesting. And so, Morley, as you're walking us through this, let's dispel a few myths. So firstly, let's take a step back. So what we've established, both in our other podcasts as well as in this one right now, we're producing too much iron. Left unchecked, any human being walking this planet likely has too much iron in them. You can be doing all the right things. You can have all the right levels of magnesium and copper, but that iron, it's, I suppose, a lock that is locking the body from healing itself, becoming vibrant, doing what it should do because there's too much iron in the body. And so one of the things that we can do, it's free, it's a good deed, we're helping other people. You're saying, hey, every quarter, every 3 months or so, give or take, 3-4 months, donate some blood. And you're talking not plasma, but you're talking the full blood. So you're going in and within 5-10 minutes, you've donated your blood. Now, there's some myths around me donating blood. Let me throw them at you and you can put some other ones out there. So if I'm donating blood, am I hurting myself in any way? Because I just heard you say, well, the body is sending out a signal of, hey, we just lost a whole bunch of iron. We got to start producing more of these chemicals. Let's get into action. Is that harmful in any way? And by the way, let me preface this by saying everyone is unique and an individual. This is not medical advice. Please see your doctor before you do anything. We're simply sharing our own experiences, our own insights. But what's going on when I'm donating blood? Can I harm myself in any way? Am I going to be feeling too tired or lethargic, or I can't do certain things for a period of time or not? What's going on?
Let's put it in a context. I've read maybe 2,000 articles on iron. And what they really agree on is that we have about, allegedly, 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams of iron in the body. And it's hard to visualize what's 5,000 milligrams. But so we have, let's say 5,000 milligrams of iron. We're supposed to have 100 milligrams of copper. 100 milligrams of copper fits on the head of a 1-inch stick.
Wow.
Very small amount of copper. Very powerful. It's like a little dynamo battery. But the point that I want to make here is that the easiest way to understand how much iron you have, take your age and multiply it times 361. And so, like in my case, I'm 71, times 361. I get up to 26 explosions. And this formula helps people understand how much iron they have in their tissue. Not my formula, folks. This is what the iron biologists agree on. Gutteridge and Howell, Robert Crichton, Douglas Kell, Jamie Collins, these world-renowned iron biologists all agree on we accumulate 1 milligram of iron every day we're on the planet. It's just the nature of the beast, because the food we eat has iron in it, and the body has a propensity to want to hold on to that iron because it's going to need it in the recycling program. Part that's been kept hidden is copper is really important for recycling iron, and it's tremendous benefit by allowing the recycling to be enhanced by blood donations. If donating blood was all threatened, Red Cross wouldn't exist. Blood centers wouldn't exist. The whole concept of donating blood to someone else wouldn't exist. But this has been around for over 150 years. And they're very meticulous about what they do with the blood. And as you've noted, or you've alluded to, when you do donate a pint of blood, like 100 cc's of blood, there's 4 people. 4 people benefit from it. 3 people who get the blood products. And the 4th person is the person donating, because you're releasing the excess iron that's in your system. That's just a very central part of staying vital and staying fresh in your metabolism.
And so, Morley, what I'm hearing you say is, and I'm going to give the analogy, when I go to the gym, when I work out, maybe I'm lifting weights, or maybe I'm going for a longer than usual bike ride, or I'm doing some hiking, I am putting some stress on the muscles. And you could say, well, that stress on the muscles, that's not good. You're putting your body under pressure. But actually, it's the opposite. The stress on those muscles from the workout, whatever it may be, has the muscles break down and they rebuild themselves. And that's how we put on muscle. That's how we stay fit and healthy. And so would that be the same kind of analogy as when we're donating blood? We're putting the body under some kind of a stress, but it's a healthy stress. It's built for that kind of stress. We're releasing the iron and we're coming back a whole lot better.
That's a great analogy. It's unfortunate that the more conventional practitioners don't embrace blood donations. They've never been trained. They've never been exposed to the idea. As you know, it was very popular back in the 1700s, 1800s. It was very commonplace. And I think it fell out of favor because of the fact that it was a very easy way to stay healthy. Jamie Collins is a particularly noteworthy figure. He's down here down south of the border at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And his area of expertise he's unique in that he speaks 3 languages. He speaks copper and iron and magnesium. There are not many researchers who can speak those 3 languages.
Sure.
But what Jamie's been able to prove in the last probably 5 years is that excess iron, and he studies rodents, mice and rats, and he builds these models that are indicative of being a 2-legged rat. But these rodent models, it exposes them to too much iron, and what happens? He says it's like putting a wet blanket over a fire. It kills the copper metabolism, which you've alluded to a couple times in our conversation. And so people don't realize it's a two-sided dynamic that not only do I have to worry about the copper, be mindful of the copper, we got to be mindful of the iron as well. And so the phrase that I use is we need to lower the iron footprint in our body. We've got to build the copper in our body. And when they get back to appropriate ratio, the body knows exactly.
Incredible. So we're donating our blood. The body knows exactly what to do. It's a healthy kind of pressure that we're putting on the body. We're really shedding the excess iron. And so, Morley, we've begun to stop, and we just started, we've begun to stop the resting from the inside out. And when we do it enough, you're saying, hey, do it every quarter. So every 3 months, make your appointment. It doesn't take that long. You're helping 3 other people, plus yourself, 4 people. Long-term wise, what would be some of the benefits? Let's suppose I've been now doing this for a year, 2 years, maybe more. where would I start to feel or see these benefits that perhaps I took for granted before? I just didn't really feel them because I was bogged down with iron. Anything I should be looking out for?
Here's a great analogy. Our blood is supposed to be like red wine. And as we get older, it becomes more like kettle. It gets very thick. Why is it getting thick? There's too much iron. It's not complicated. And there's a concept called a rouleau. I think it's actually a casino, right? Rouleau of chimps, right? Get a lot of money.
Yep.
Well, rouleau in your blood is not a good thing. It means you're not getting the full benefit of the red blood cell. But here's an example. The time I was 20, to the time I was, actually, no, almost 40 to 45. The time I was 20 to the time I was 45, I worked with one intern, an annual physical every year. And every year, Tom would ask, "You're not taking any supplements, are you?" I said no. And he was always worried about my bilirubin. It's a very important blood marker that reveals how efficiently you're turning over your red blood cells. Mine was always high. It's supposed to be point something. Mine was like 1.8 or 2.0. It was always elevated. I never really worried about it. And it was in 2015 when Dr. Liz thumped me in the nose and she said, "You talk to people about their blood work. She says, have you tested yours?" Well, no. So I went to do the blood work and found out that my ferritin, it could be around 20, was at 237.
Wow.
More than a 10x.
Yeah.
Good thing I was wearing brown pants that day. And so I suddenly said, "Hey, I got to donate blood." And so in 2016, I donated every other month. Now, the other side of it was where a male should have hemoglobin of around maybe 14 and a half. Would you consider good, normal? My red blood cells was 18.3. So I had high hemoglobin, high ferritin. And so then I engaged in this process of donating blood every other month. Boom, boom, like clockwork. And Jeffrey, at the end of the year, my bilirubin was normal for the first time in my life. And my red blood cells, the hemoglobin, was 14. So it went from 18.3 down to 14. It didn't do any. This was really before the root cause protocol existed. All I did was donate blood. I felt like $1 million. I couldn't believe it.
And so, Morley, you're going through your own personal journey, you built that into the root cause protocol. So we've established how naturally we build up iron more than we need. Something as simple and it's free, donating blood every 3 months. Doesn't get any easier than that. Now let's look at, well, why are we having excess iron? And one of the things that you've alluded to a number of times, not only today, but also in our previous podcast, the foods that we're eating, we have hidden iron that's been fortified in them. And really from the outside looking in, particularly as a parent with a young child, oh, fortified with iron. That sounds pretty good. Or, hey, this is fortified with iron. Iron's good for me. I'm going to make sure that I get this over that. So where are some of the hidden sources that we're getting this iron that's actually hurting us, not helping us?
Well, it's programming at its finest. We could call it propaganda. But we've been trained to believe we need more iron. More iron is our friend. What's the three-letter word hiding in the word believe? Why? The whole thing is a scam. Take the time to read Jim's book about iron, the most toxic metal. Right? Your toes are going to curl when you realize how much iron you're adding to the food. 9 different forms of iron. 9 different forms of iron that are being added to the Western diet. And that's North America, Europe, you can name the countries. Guess what? All 9 have been identified as being cause of cancer. Oh, there's only one element on planet Earth that can initiate, promote, progress. Those are considered hallmarks of what an element can do in its relationship. Iron is the only element on the planet that can do all 3. Accurate. That iron has been added to the food system since 1941. Here, south of the border, 1969. That started in 1941. But in 69, and here in the States, we increased it FDA wanted to increase it 300%, but they only increased it 50% when scientists from all over the world came to Washington and trying to kill people. So, and that's a fact. Again, this is all documented in the book. It's a wonderful book. And then there's a whole chapter devoted to the role that iron plays in cancer formation. People aren't aware of all that. We've been trained to believe we need more iron. We've never been taught about the backside. And so they modified seeds. When I was growing up in the 50s, ordered Popeye, very popular figure, was eating spinach.
Yep.
I wanted to be like Popeye. And back then, guess what spinach had? They had copper. Guess what spinach had today? Iron. There's no copper. They've changed the foods. Changed the mechanism of mineral uptake. And we're not aware of it. I had no idea this is. So grain has been modified. They use phosphate, herbicide, use it as a desiccating agent, drying agent. So they'll spray a field of wheat 4 times with glyphosate to accelerate the drying process so they can get in another. But what they're not telling us is that desiccant elates copper. And that wheat has more iron than our ancestors. So we have to be more mindful of what is the food. You don't want to eat enriched flour. You don't want to eat fortified flour. Here, I don't know whether you have Sprouts. We have that down here in the States. They sell the form of flour that is not, and you can find it. King Arthur is a source of flour. There are European sources. I have clients who have full-blown celiac can go to France or Germany. They can eat bread. They can't eat the bread of North America. Because of iron has been on it and the phosphate, right? And people don't realize that there's a reason why they have these dietary conditions. And it's not a disease. It's a product of the change in our environment. So the foods have been modified, and we just need to be more educated about discerning, looking for the right words. You don't want fortified. You don't want enriched. They're not your friends. You got to look at the B vitamins. They're all synthetic. You want to get your B vitamins as natural processes. Big pollen or big blend would be 2 great sources. But people don't realize how altered our food system is. And that's just an ongoing dynamic that we have to be mindful of and willing to in our day-to-day diet.
So really what I'm hearing you say is naturally we accumulate iron in and of itself.
Yes.
And if we're not careful, and again, food is medicine. So if we have foods that are fortified, really probably fortified with anything is probably not healthy for us, but especially iron, take some time out, look at the label. If we see fortified with iron or other names around that, don't take it. Find an alternative, even if it's a quote unquote healthy food, or we think it's a healthy food and it's fortified with iron. Don't walk, run the opposite direction as fast as you can. We don't want to be taking that because it's already adding up to something that's overly toxic, if I can use that word, in our body. We don't need that iron. And there's more of it than what we need. And we're already trying to stop the rusting from the inside out. Having food with fortified iron in it just takes a bad situation and makes it worse. How am I doing with that?
Very good. Very good.
So terrific. So as we begin to wrap things up here, Morley, what you've established with us is copper, magnesium, and iron. It's kind of like a triad, and anything too much in excess or too little is not great. We have to have the right proportions. It's not that iron is a villain or it's all bad. Like anything else, I can drink too much water and I can have some serious health consequences because I'm really diluting myself and my electrolytes. So anything in excess is not healthy. And so what I'm hearing you say is make sure that the iron is in check, so that with the right levels of magnesium, the right levels of copper, the body can do what it's meant to do, and that's to have us feeling great, to have us moving on to day after day gracefully, with vibrance, with energy, with youth, feeling vigor in our day to really make the most of it. And one of the easiest ways for iron is every 3 months, donate blood. And we reduce the iron levels. We trigger a very healthy, natural process in our body to replace the blood cells, to replace that lost iron in a healthy way. And we keep it in check every 3 months when we're donating blood. And if we do that, we're going to stop the resting from the inside out. We're not going to age as quickly. We're not going to bring on the onset of disease as quickly as we would, or maybe even at all. And we're in a much better place. How am I doing?
Excellent. In fact, there was a famous iron biologist here in the States, Ed Weinberg. He was at Indiana University. At the initial onset of any illness, we go to the blood center, donate a pint of blood, and invariably he would always feel better. Because guess what happens to live on folks? They live for that iron. It's an obligate metabolite for them to grow. Every bacteria, fungus, virus, parasites, they all need iron. Well, I mean, ideally, our immune system should keep track of that, but sometimes it doesn't. Lower the threshold, it changes the vitality of the immune system to then combat pathogens.
Some terrific advice out there. And Morley, before we go into wrap-up mode, again, we took one of many things in the root cause protocol. It's in the show notes, but for the listeners who want to learn more, hey, Morley, that makes a whole lot of sense. I never heard from anyone else that this iron is resting from the inside out, that all these other things that I'm doing, I'm spending the time, the effort, the energy, I'm really hurting myself because it's not making that big of an impact. There's too much iron. This is wonderful, and they want to learn some more. Where is the best place online that we can learn more about what's going on? And for someone who wants to reach you, I know you have a very special offer for people who want to reach you of what no one else does, only Morley does in terms of putting that out there. So if someone has a question, they want to speak with you, they want to learn more, where would be some great places to find you?
Great sources will be the website, RTP, Root Cause Protocol, RTP123.org. We have resource section. Leaves out RCP handbook. And there's 81 posts, near toxicity, all sorts of Q&As in there. If you want the book, go to your favorite online bookseller to pick up a copy of Cure War Fatigue. And the CU have little brackets around it. So you see this one. You can join our RCP community. You can join our institute. We have a very robust 16-week course that we do twice a year. People love the information that they get. And I think the most important thing is keep an open mind and more curious than concerned. But for those who really want to reach out and connect with me, I'm happy to have that conversation. My email address is just my first and last name, morleyrobbins@gmail.com. And for those courageous people that love to pick up the phone and call, it's 847-922-8061. The highlight of my day are the people who call expecting never to answer. And when I do, they become bucks, and then they finally get over it and they ask their questions. I love having the conversations because people, sometimes they just need to have that exchange, find out that they're not broken. Maybe they're just out of balance, something going on. And I'm happy to share that information. Appreciate the opportunity to have these types of conversations. Put it out there. I've been doing this for about 12 years now. So there's a lot of people who know my phone number. That's okay.
It's out there. And Deep Wealth Nation, he really means what he says. Morley, I heard you on another podcast. You put your phone number out there. You put your email out there. I reached out, and sure enough, you and I were talking. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Never looked back after that. Well, Morley, we're going to go into wrap-up mode. Again, before we do, and you've been around the block a few times on this one, but before we go into wrap-up mode, and my favorite question, is there a question that I haven't asked during our time together, or a topic we haven't covered, or even a theme or a message you want to get out there for the Deep Wealth Nation? Anything that comes to mind?
Very important aspect. Know that emotions are going to influence our physical well-being. When you're under stress, let's check the business who isn't stressed out with their business. When you have stress, what you want is chronic stress. What is the emotion? Feed it. We spell fear a little differently in the RC AR.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can see the simple layer.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're in a state of fear, we become a magnet to iron. It's just the way our physiology works.
Hmm.
And so it's a hormones in play, and we don't need to get into that right now. Just be mindful of the fact that if you are stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
seek out practitioners who do emotional release work,
Mm-hmm.
EFT or emotion code, EMDR, and they will help you release the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Important for people to understand it's that people who are drawn to this root cause protocol are high IQ. So if you're listening to this right now, you've already passed the IQ test. The people with high IQ have pure genetic or control freaks. We don't know how to work that. And we love. And when you're listening to a guy, talking to another guy, trying to tell you how simple this is, it's almost offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. But that doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it's not real. But what your high IQ mind needs is a guide to help you to release the fear you have. You're broken. As long as you have that fear, the more you're going to dysregulate the energy production, the more iron accumulation is going to take place. And it's, again, well chronicled in the research, except to know where it looks. And so that's what Jeffrey is doing, is giving you the cliff notes, getting you the essence of the problem, and the essence of the solution. And it's not complicated. And part of you is going to be offended by that. That's okay. The key is, if it's simple for you, do the RCP standing on your head. That's more complicated, but it'll still work. The key is these principles are timeless. And all we did in the RCP was just say, here's the wisdom. Mammals, animals. And you were able to find it in the research. But I think Jeffrey has stepped into this. He's absolutely captivated by the genius of it, the beauty of it. And he's just trying to make sure more people know about it. I'm very grateful.
Well, some great insights there of, hey, put any biases or judgments aside, have an open mind, even though it may be coming across as something this simple, this effortless, can get you such a high ROI. Maybe there's something to that. Try it for yourself. Be a data point of one. And maybe it works. Great. Maybe it doesn't work. Okay, why not? But just become curious and find your own rhythm.
So you focus on ROI, we can return on investment. Focus on another ROI. Research on that.
Oh, Morley, I love how you take these different initials and these anagrams and these different meanings and you put that in there. It's wonderful. Well, Morley, all that said, we're going to go into wrap-up mode. It's your fourth kick at the can. It's my favorite question. It's a tradition here on the Deep Wealth Podcast. No pressure on you, Morley. Each time you've been absolutely brilliant. You came up with something different. And on the last episode 3, you said, well, Jeffrey, let me see how I'm feeling in the mood today of what my answer is going to be. And perhaps it'll be the same kind of thing today. You'll take us down a different path. But here's the question, and particularly for the new members of the Deep Wealth Nation, the question is this. It's a fun one. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So imagine now it's tomorrow morning and you look outside your window, and Morley, here's the fun part. Not only do you see the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open, is waiting for you to hop on in, which you do. You're now going to go to any point in your life, Morley, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time that would be. What would you tell your younger self in terms of life wisdom or life lessons? Or, hey, Morley, do this, but don't do that. What would that sound like?
I mean, I knew the question was going to be more thought. People probably wonder, what is that? It's a beautiful poster of Egyptian, and it's hard to see it with the lights where you get what have you. What's lining the perimeter of it were a series of cloaks. That was their religious symbol, that cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And the ankh was made of copper, not gold, not bronze, brass. And I think I'd really like to go back to the Egyptians, find out what did they know about how to stay. Well, what was magical about helping the body to stay in balance. And what I understand, coming full circle to our discussion, I think it was the Egyptians who were the first to figure out the importance of, how they came upon that knowledge and that wisdom, but they saw there was some value. Like when you release this red fluid, the body seems to respond in a very constructive way. And it wasn't viewed as a threat. And there was a power of understanding back in that culture thousands of years ago. And I think has been lost. It would just be fascinating to wing our way back and find out, talk to some of these demons and see what they knew about healing and about what health was thousands of years. Because I think we've lost sight of the purpose. We've lost our true north, and we've gotten very specific. All this technology. We really gained it. We really captured the essence of what it makes us healthy. I think we're still struggling with that now. And so, simpler time, but it was a magical time for understanding the human body. And I think it's fascinating because
Interesting. You're talking about the Egyptian times, what they knew about bloodletting, how they had copper. So perhaps you'd be telling your younger self, donate blood on a regular basis. I mean, imagine doing that. And again, to circle back, so Morley, for your younger self, would it be, I mean, you shared with the Egyptians what they knew about copper and bloodletting. So for your younger self, would it be this go around, donate more blood or donate blood more frequently? What would that sentence or two be to the young Morley?
More copper in your diet. Where we've been focusing on reducing iron, which is very important. That when we have more copper in our diet, we have more copper in our tissue. And we're coming to realize that protein is more well plasma. And I could wear people out with what I've learned about it. That's just me. I'm fascinated by it. I've talked about how important it is. I no longer think it's just important. I think it is the operating system of mammalian physiology. And take yet another conversation, get into all the details of it. I'm not sure your followers would want to go there. But I think it's important for people to realize is that there is a wisdom, resonant wisdom in our body that has been suppressed and ignored and attacked by the conventional system. And we don't need to get into vitriol and start yelling at that. We just need to acknowledge it.
Interesting.
Our body was magically designed to take care of itself. And if you have the right diet, if you have your wits about you, if you can manage your stress, it's amazing response that the body has to your situation.
So interesting. So maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe it's double teaming it. And that is take more copper and donate blood regularly. And that's well on your way to optimal health.
And again, everyone easy button, right? Everyone's looking for the easy button. That's a great place to start. It takes a little bit more, but not a whole lot. But this is the ultimate lever of balance. Too little copper, too much iron. What we're trying to do more is mainly back and forth so the body knows what to do.
Amazing. Well, Morley, congratulations once again. It's official. This is a wrap. We thank you so much for your insights, for your wisdom today of putting us on the path, pun intended, to get our deep wealth, both on the health side, which we can then translate onto the business side. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, Morley, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really been an honor. Appreciate it.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you, and I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.